Hi, Mystery Resurfaced here. Today, I'm going to explain the movie The Imaginarium of Doctor Parnassus, released in the year 2009. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. An elderly man named Dr. Parnassus claims a beat-up voyaging theater. The doctor, his girl Valentina and performers Anton and Percy are the entertainers of the theater. One night before a bar in London, when an alcoholic hooligan irritates them, he takes Percy off the stage and starts flirting with Valentina, ignoring her frequent refusal while attempting to move away from the man. Valentina strolls into a plastic mirror that drives her to an alternate world called the Imaginarium. The man sees that he's in a weird place, however doesn't quit following her. When Valentina is somewhere inside the peculiar world, she deceives the hooligan and hits him right in his face. Then, without offering him a chance to follow her, she runs back to the theater. In the meantime, the man is stuck inside the mirror. A hand dangles from the sky and snatches the man. He's then taken to a mysterious space loaded up with jellyfish. When sufficiently high, the hand releases him, dropping him on a peculiar planet. Following that, he's given two options: either move up a trip of tall steps and gain extreme happiness, or enter a close-by bar and get a drink. He picks the last option. However, as he strolls in, the bar explodes in a boisterous blast, causing his instant death. Incidentally, the first choice was set by Dr. Parnassus, and the subsequent one was set by devil called Mr. Nick. The two have 1,000 years of rivalry, continuing and frequently contend with one another. Dr. Parnassus possibly wins when somebody picks the choice that he sets. But that hardly appears, since all people incline toward obliviousness over difficult work. Dr. Parnassus feels the blast even outside and nearly tumbles down. Sometime later, the police come to the theater to ask about the missing man. However, since the mirror possibly works when Dr. Parnassus is meditating, they can't track down him. After the occurrence, Dr. Parnassus takes his theater elsewhere. In a festival as they perform, a mischievous boy enters the mirror without telling anybody. Luckily for him, Valentina sees him entering and sends Anton to get him out. Within the abnormal world has changed completely since the last time. The boy is playing with the air bubbles in the now hypnotizing world, while his parents are stressed for him outside. Dr. Parnassus utilizes his powers and brings the boy before his parents instantly. Following that, the doctor is visited by Devil, Mr. Nick. As per their arrangement, Valentina will belong to Mr. Nick after she turns 16, and Dr. Parnassus can't prevent him from taking her. Her 16th birthday celebration is just 7 days away, which makes Dr. Parnassus desperate. Soon thereafter, he becomes inebriated and enlightens her regarding when he used to be a priest in a distant place. He used to train his students the way to live life for other people. However, one day, Mr. Nick came to his asylum and provoked him to demonstrate his method of self-perseverance and difficult work is superior to obliviousness. After a long and hard battle, Dr. Parnassus wins the test, and was given the endowment of eternity. However, he was sufficiently credulous to think Mr. Nick had accepted his defeat. As a matter of fact, the eternal life gift was his method to trick Dr. Parnassus in the never-ending circle of contest and disappointment. The doctor quits recounting the story when their vehicle halts. Anton says he saw the impression of a moving man on the water. On investigating, they discovered that somebody is hanging under the bridge. The group saves the person and acknowledged he's alive simply because of a tube embedded into his throat. The following morning, the man awakens, but just recalls that he is Tony. The others choose to give him shelter until he gets better. That evening, Tony dresses up to perform with the group. He and Valentina start a friendship, causing Anton a deep sense of disturbance. Since he has been in love with Valentina his entire life, they start the following theater show. But Dr. Parnassus is excessively drunk to continue onward. He gets back to the back and is dealt with. Mr. Nick visits him again to advise him that he doesn't have a lot of time left with his little girl. He permits him the last opportunity to save his little girl with one more bet, assuming that Dr. Parnassus figures out to get 5 spirits to follow his way in the Imaginarium. He wins. However, in the event that Mr. Nick does it prior, he will be the winner. In a frantic endeavor to save Valentina, Dr. Parnassus acknowledges the bet. He realizes it'll be difficult, however he also accepts that Tony has been sent for their assistance by the higher energy. That evening, they start the theater show with the new inspiration. Dr. Parnassus desires to get as many clients as it would be prudent so he can win the bet. Nonetheless, things go downhill when Anton powerfully carries a girl in. Tony is practically caught, however he manages to get on the storage compartment of the moving vehicle and gets away with it. The girl who was sent inside the Imaginarium holds Mr. Nick's hand, which implies that he has one up on the doctor presently. After the mishaps ends, the doctor tells Valentina of her mother, who was additionally his most memorable love. Sometime in the past, the endowment of eternal life ended up being a revile for the doctor. He was in the roads asking for food and carrying on with a hopeless life. That is until the day he saw a wonderful girl passed by and quickly fell in love with her. She was in her 20s and made certain to never take a look at an elderly man like him. Subsequently, Devil made one more bet with him. Dr. Parnassus fell directly into his trick and acknowledged the offer. But, at the expense of his girl's life, when she turned 16, his desire to make the lady his wife was fulfilled and Valentina was born. Some time later, her mother died from some illness. And, presently even Valentina is going to be taken away. In the next scene, Tony proposes they remodel the theater to draw in additional clients. By that evening, they transform it into an advanced themed wizardry show. Tony's surprising appeal assists them with drawing in a few ladies to the theater. He takes the first one inside the mirror, which is also his most memorable excursion to the Imaginarium. Rising up out of the ladies' fantasies, the Imaginarium transforms into a pool of extravagant shoes, perfumes, precious stones and pearls. When the time has come to pick between the two choices, Tony persuades her to follow Dr. Parnassus' way. When the lady gets back to his present reality, she is excited. She signs a blank check to the doctor and brags about how wonderful time she had in the mysterious place. As a result of her impact, different clients squabble over needing to go first. At last, Dr. Parnassus figures out to acquire 4 spirits in a solitary evening, breaking his own record. Mr. Nick is watching him from the sidelines, holding back to destroy his arrangements. Simultaneously, Tony sees a group of men before the theater, who he perceives. Obviously he's been lying about his amnesia, however nobody knows why. The men also saw him attempting to hide his face and assaults him trying to save himself. Tony runs into the Imaginarium while being trailed by the men. We soon figure out that they are the people from the Russian mafia whose cash Tony didn't return. They were additionally the ones who hanged Tony from the bridge the previous night. Anton arrives to Tony's salvage and attempts to scare the criminals, but he is in turn smacked in his face. Out of nowhere, Dr. Parnassus' head rises out of the ground and requests that the Russian men pick his way. Meanwhile, Mr. Nick shows up on the opposite side of the Imaginarium. Masked as a giant lady, he figures out how to bait the egotistical men into his skirt and consumes them with 4 additional spirits added to his side. He wins the bet. Elsewhere, Anton urges Tony to uncover who he really is, and who the Russian people were. Tony claims that he was defrauded by the Russians, who offered kids' organs to people for cash. He appears to be really remorseful to have unconsciously been engaged with something so terrible. Consequently, Anton believes him. Dr. Parnassus reveals about the deal with the devil to Valentina to take her away when she turned 16. She is enraged at her father for hiding the reality for such a long time. Simultaneously, Anton ends up getting his hand on a paper that reports the genuine news about Tony. As per the report, the Russians were not the ones who deceived Tony, but he was effectively associated with the pirating of organs. He runs to Valentina to reveal the truth to her. However, Tony doesn't let him. He drives Valentina into the Imaginarium and pursues her, abandoning this present reality to keep her engaged. He takes her out on a boat and maneuvers her toward believing she's experiencing her fantasy. A credulous Valentina trusts him, and gets excessively near him on the boat. Later, they make their very own truth, where Tony is an affluent finance manager known for his magnanimous deeds, while Valentina is his wife. Their world is interfered with when Anton appears as a boy, and shows Tony's genuine face to Valentina. It is uncovered that he sold the organs of children from underdeveloped nations to rich people. Tony frenzies and shows his actual character by hitting Valentina in his face. His fantasy begins to break as people see him for the evil man he is. They pursue behind him, wanting to take his life as the truth comes out. Unfortunately, Anton falls of it while Valentina makes an honest effort to save him. But, he admits his love for her prior to falling into the obscure. Valentina loses her control and goes around the remaining parts of the place. She's also given two choices, the great and the terrible one. Unexpectedly, Mr. Nick shows up, and avoids her from picking. Valentina attempts to lure him, surrendering to the allurement. However, Mr. Nick can't acknowledge her as a puppet, because she should be the award of the bet. He then goes to Dr. Parnassus, allowing him the last opportunity to get his daughter back. A frantic doctor is prepared to do anything, accepting the offer. Devil requests that he kill Tony. Parnassus goes to Tony, who is still being pursued by the critics. On the off chance that they get him, they're certain to hang him to save himself once more. He really wants the metal pipe. The doctor gives him two metal pipes, one of which will break and subsequently will kill him to fool him into utilizing the fake one. The doctor utilizes one of the pipes and hangs himself, which makes Tony trust he's utilizing the genuine one. The crook takes it prior to being caught by people. They hang him from the tree. But without a moment to spare, Dr. Parnassus uncovers he had two pipes in his throat. And the one Tony took is fake. Eventually, he dies in the occurrence, making Dr. Parnassus win the last bet. Mr. Nick has delivered Valentina after his misfortune. But, to torture the doctor, he won't uncover her whereabouts. Dr. Parnassus searches around in the Imaginarium, believing to find his lost little girl in future. Quite a long while later, he has transformed into a beggar in London. A caring lady put a few pennies into his asking bowl without seeing his face as she leaves. Dr. Parnassus sees an anklet on her leg that he had given to Valentina quite some time in the past. He follows his girl to a cafe and observes her with Anton. The two have advanced into a joyfully married couple with an excellent little girl. Right then, Percy approaches him and requests that he meet his loved ones. However, Dr. Parnassus just smiles at the remark. He is content that his girl is carrying on with a blissful life, and feels settled without precedent for years. In the last scene, we see Percy and Dr. Parnassus introducing a toy theater of the Imaginarium. Mr. Nick seems offering Dr. Parnassus another bet. However, this time Percy persuades the doctor to return to work. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.